What's up, guys? It's the RB Grinder here today. Today we're going to be going over a cool deck. It's the Volibear. It kind of plays like a ramp deck. If you played like green or some kind of ramp deck in One Piece and or Magic or something like that, you probably like this deck. A lot of the ramp stuff is more the body stuff, some of the orange stuff, but the red stuff is more aggro control, but it just has some good stuff. So we're definitely playing both. You're playing both attributes. It's a lot of fun. So to go over some of the cards, your Volibear's main ability is when you play a mighty unit, so that's something with 5 or more attack, you can channel a Rune Exhausted. So every time you play a 5-drop or more, you start ramping. So it's a really, really good thing because you want to get to high mana as soon as possible. So you have two choices for your legend. You could either play Volibear the Furious or Volibear Imposing. They're both a little bit different. Volibear the Furious is way better when you need to get something out faster or you're playing against a deck with a lot of removal. It comes out way faster and it can start kind of doing stuff way more. And if they do want to remove it, it costs a lot for them to remove it. Volibear Imposing is probably more for like mirror matches or your slower matchups. You kind of make that choice when you see the enemy legend or what you think they're playing. Because it just is a bigger body and it just takes a little bit longer to play, but it has a slightly bigger payoff. So I think in slower matchups, I would play the Imposing Volibear. The Volibear the Furious has the ability to deflect 2, so every time they want to target it with an ability, they got to recycle 2 runes to play. It's pretty simple. When he attacks, he's kind of like Yasuo. He deals 5 split between all enemy units there, so you can deal 5 like first strike almost. Volibear Imposing is a tank, so you got to deal damage to it first. It's a 10 drop, so 10 attack. And he's shield 3, so when he's defending, he's a 13, which is huge. But he does die to removal kind of easily. When an opponent moves to a battlefield other than mine, you draw 1, so you can kind of start drawing 1. So that's nice too, but it comes out so late in the game, sometimes the draws don't even really matter. Your signature spell you're going to be playing is Stormbringer. It's basically like the 2-drop that attacks. So choose a friendly unit, deal damage equals to might to all enemy units at a battlefield. So if they've got like 3 or 4 things at a battlefield, you can kind of just like wipe everything. So against Volibear, you probably don't want to commit like a million things to one battlefield. But other than that, it's a really good board wipe. It can kind of like get you out of bad game states if you need to. So you're playing orange and red, the 2 colors you need to play. It kind of goes without saying you're playing red-orange characters, so you kind of want to play red and orange because both. You want access to both. There's some decks where you don't, but for this deck, you definitely do. For Obelisk of Power, so these are your 3 battlefields. This one's probably the best battlefield for you because you just start with 1 extra mana, so you just ramp faster. Some games you can get 2 Obelisks of Power at the same time, and you just start your turn with like for turn 1 with 4 or 5 mana, and it's just crazy because you're just ramping already. So Obelisk of Power is really, really, really good for you. Sigil of Storm, when you conquer or recycle one of your runes, it kind of, you don't usually want to take this battlefield because if you take it, you're kind of de-ramping. But it's really good to kind of hold enemies back because if they want to take it, they're going to have to recycle a rune and they just kind of like, you're going to take longer to kill you basically and get enough battlefields. The last one is Windswept. Units here have ganking, they can move from battlefield to battlefield. Really helpful when you have all these big bodies and stuff. So for the cards that you can play, you have a lot of removal. So Disintegrate's a really good removal to play before you can kind of get a body on the field. It deals 3. If it kills it, you draw a card. So it kind of replaces itself while killing a pretty strong unit sometimes. You play Challenge. Challenge is really good in this deck because you just deal 1 unit to another unit and it deals the mites to each other. As in your deck, all your stuff is bigger than your opponent's usually, so this is pretty much just a removal spell for 2, and it recycles 1. Carniveous Snapvine is a 5 mana 6-drop, but it also is basically removal. You do ramp when you play it, which is really nice, so it's kind of like a ramp and removal. When you play me, choose an enemy unit on a battlefield, we deal damage to the mites to each other. So it's basically a removal for something at a battlefield while still ramping you a mana from Volibear's ability, so it's really, really, really good. For your kind of like ramp cards, you really only play 1 or 2. There's this card, Catalyst of the Aeons, channel 2 runes exhausted. If you couldn't channel 2, draw 1, so later in the game it's still useful to kind of draw you some cards. Although you do want to kind of try to play it on curve. This is kind of what you're looking for in the Mulligan. There's another card that some decks play. It's a 2 mana channel rune exhausted. It's really good. I think you should consider playing it. It's not in this deck list, but it might be in some other ones, and you probably want to check it out and see if it's worthwhile for you. But that's another card. I forget what the card's name, but it's like got 2 trumpets on it. For your kind of monsters, you're going to plan on playing some early drops because otherwise you'll have nothing to do early game. And if you have nothing to do early game, the game can get out of control really fast. And you can't catch back up if they're just constantly capping 2 battlefields. You have Vi. She's just a 2 mana 3 drop, to be honest with you. Her ability is pretty good with ganking and recycle 1 to give her +1, but realistically speaking, she's just a 2/3, sometimes a 4. You're not really going to recycle 1 from the trash too often, but it can come up a lot because it's early in the game. Legion Rearguard's really good. I will say you're almost never paying the cost unless you're in like a really aggressive matchup where you're against someone who's playing like a bunch of 1 drops and they're just taking everything. Generally, you're not going to play him as a rush character because you really, really want to start ramping. And when you're paying those additional runes, it just starts to get out of control really, really fast. You have Brazen Buccaneer, which is a 6-drop 5, but it's actually a 4-drop if you discard a card as a cost, which you usually have a lot of extra cards in hand, like that are like 9, 10 drops that you can't play yet. So this is almost just a 4-mana 5. It starts ramping early. So if you play this on 4, you just get to 5 and then 7 the turn after that. So it kind of is a bridge to go from 4 mana to 7 mana. It's a really, really strong card. You almost want to try to play this on curve. If I was looking for cards in my mulligan, if I was going first, I would definitely look for Brazen Buccaneer because it's just a really good. If you're going second, you might want to look for more like the 5-drops, like these, like Misfortune and Blazing Scorcher. Blazing Scorcher is really good. If you can get him set up really early in the game, you can pay an additional cost to have him be ready, but otherwise he's just a 5-drop for 5. He's just really good overall. He's kind of just extra copies of Brazen Buccaneer that you can play going second instead of playing going first, so you can kind of have multiple options if you're, out off the roll. Misfortune is really good. I will say again, you're not really trying to pay the recycle runes unless you're trying to win the game. Usually, you're going to be playing Misfortune when you're trying to win the game. You could recycle a body rune to have it enter ready, and it has ganking. And the first time you move, you can ready something that's exhausted. So there are some scenarios where you're playing Misfortune, waiting a turn, playing a big dude, then you're moving Misfortune, making the big dude ready on the same turn you play it, giving kind of like any of your big dudes haste. So she's more of a setup card than anything, but she is really, really good. You also play Warwick. Warwick's just overall a really good card. Just a 6-mana 5-drop that is when ready. He enters ready. He's got haste, so he can just move to battlefields. When he attacks, he kills all damaged units there. That doesn't come up as much, but it is really good. You also play some Stoneclaw Ursines. It's just a 7-mana 6-drop tank when you play me, channel Rune Exhausted. So this is really good just for ramp, trying to get to the champions that are like 10, 9, 10, 12 mana to try and play them. So this is just a bigger ramp card. It still channels your ability. Almost all of your monsters from 4 mana up will be channeling Volibear's ability. So, this actually says channel 2 Runes Exhausted, basically. So you all of a sudden go from 7 mana to almost 8, 9, 10, 11. So you're almost at 11 mana by the turn after you play this. So it's really, really good. I'd say one of the better cards you play is Deadbloom Predator. It's kind of like removal as well. It has deflect, so you got to pay. You got to recycle a rune. Your opponent's got to pay and recycle a rune to kind of return it. But you can play it to a battlefield. So just dropping an 8-drop from your hand to a battlefield is basically removal, to be honest, and it kind of just conquers it most of the time. Sometimes they'll have removal spells or something like that, and then it starts to get really, really unfortunate. But honestly speaking, this is one of the better things you can do overall. It's just a really, really good removal spell. You are the main goal of this deck for sure is going to be kind of like ramping. So if the cards are kind of going to be looking for in your mulligan is like Catalyst of Eons, Vi is really good, Rearguard, Brazen Buccaneer. In some matchups, you might want to try to get, if you're going like second, getting Stoneclaw Ursine is really good, but this is like something where, you might mulligan it over something else, but you might keep it over other things. But realistically, you should be looking for like kind of these 4 in your mulligan and keeping maybe Stoneclaw Ursine, keeping some removal spells, your early drops like these. If you're going second, the 5-drops are really good. If you're going first, you really want to try and get the Stoneclaw Ursine or the Disintegrate or one of these. If you're playing first, you really, really, really want to get one of these 4 cards or this Warwick as well. And then Deadbloom Predator on curve. So going first, kind of look for these. Going second, you're kind of more going to look for other cards. This card's just always good to have challenge to kind of help deal with annoying units like Victor or any other things. You're playing a pretty even split of body and fury runes. It's usually not too big of a deal how big the split is, because you're usually getting to like 10, 12 mana. Like I said, you're trying to avoid recycling runes as much as possible, so you're pretty much just going to be trying to ramp as fast as possible. The cool thing is when you play a lot of your cards that return 2, like Dreadboom Predator, for example, it actually basically only means return 1, because you're going to, get the other rune exhausted. So, it kind of reduces the cost. So playing a lot of these cards that return a lot, they're almost free, like Warwick, doesn't actually stop your ramp at all. It's just a 6-drop 5 with Rush. So it doesn't stop your ramp, and you can kind of keep going from there. Overall, I'd say this deck is pretty simple, but it is really fun. Just drop a bunch of big dudes on the board, and once you start like getting to like 8, 10 mana and you've survived, it's kind of like over the hump, so to speak. You have to survive the early game, and then once you survive the early game, you're pretty much golden, and you're just gonna like shoot off from there. If you have any questions or anything, hit me up in the comments. Like I said, I'm going to be doing the videos soon for the replays. Otherwise, just like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions, just comment, I'll answer. This deck's really cool. I don't know if it's the best deck, but it is definitely one of the more fun decks you can play. Thanks. RB Grinder out.